In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look here at some cooler temperatures at times, some warmer temperatures at other times, and there will be snowfall chances throughout the upcoming forecast and really the next 2 weeks in general. We also are going to be looking into some severe weather chances. We've had some over the last few days, and I expect more of those potential severe weather events to occur over the next couple of weeks as well. So it's going to be an action-packed one. We've discussed that before. It's going to be just much more fluctuating in nature. We were stuck in a stagnantly cold pattern here in the central and eastern states for weeks and weeks and weeks. And now we're seeing something that is flip-flopping a lot more, and that allows for storms to move through much more frequently. So let's take a look first off at the new 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the National Weather Service. This runs from February 6th through 10th here. And as you can see, warmer temperatures are likely to prevail throughout the Four Corner states, south central states, and then up into the southeastern corridor. We typically call this a southeast ridge. They are common during La Niñas, and we've inched closer and closer to La Niña conditions and overall a La Niña happening over the last couple of weeks. And we've really seen that pattern anchor itself in now. And it's a question of, is that going to prevail well into the spring? Or is this going to break up at a certain point? And it could really go either way. We're going to be discussing that quite a bit today. We also see cooler temperatures along the west coast and also spreading in through the northern plains during this time frame. Precipitation overall is going to be more active in general. As we mentioned, we see a lot moving through the west here, especially the north and central western areas into the northern and central plains. A little bit drier down here in the southwest. And then for a lot of the east, we're going to be dealing with above average precipitation overall. A lot of activity moving through this area. And we can see drier conditions for Florida. As we take a look at the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, and this will be for the 8th through the 14th, coincidentally, we do see below normal temperatures along the west coast and now spreading quite a bit further into the plains, Midwest, and even Great Lakes here. So starting to encroach on these eastern areas, and then still a little bit above average, especially here in the southeast, where above normal temperatures are likely to prevail in these regions during this time frame, just before the midway point of the month of February. Precipitation, as you can see, above normal out west and above normal for most of the east. And really, when we're looking at where it's going to be below average, we see the very southern areas of the Four Corner states, and then also areas around Florida. And that's about it for this time frame. As we take a look at the past 30 days, we can see that we have been really cold throughout the Rockies, the plains, a little less cold than the Rockies and southeast, but still rather cold, well below normal for a 30-day period. And then the southeast corridor has been significantly below normal. We've mentioned this every single day, I'm pretty sure, but we have broken records in here. We have seen areas at least breaking like 10, 20, 30-year records. So we are seeing significant cold temperatures in these areas as we look back over the past 30 days. Let's just take a glance here at the European model. We usually dive into this one the most, and that's what we're going to do today as well. And as we look at just this afternoon, so kind of in the past a little bit from the time you're watching this video, we did see a storm start to move into the northwest, bringing snowfall to the Cascades and Sierra Nevada, as well as the northern Rockies, and then also quite rainy along that northwest coast. We do see a low here over the kind of Ohio Valley, a dragging cold front and a warm front trying to move northward. And this is what caused the southeast and mid-Atlantic to be so warm and humid today. It was like 73 here in Virginia today, absolutely beautiful. And the humidity at times was hovering around 60-70%. And that is extremely high. So we have seen just a very humid, very warm pattern here over the last day and a half, and that is leading to thunderstorm chances that we're seeing throughout the day today and into the night throughout this area. We also expect some wintry conditions up here for the northeast, so we'll see how this advances overnight. And we see that really a lot of the energy is transferred off the northeast coast. Again, snowfall through New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine here. And then these thunderstorms and showers are prevailing up and down the southeast and mid-Atlantic coasts. Snowfall still ongoing overnight for a lot of these Rockies, Cascades, and Sierra Nevadas, as we have a really intense low pressure system up there. As we move to the high temperatures tomorrow for Saturday on February 1st, we start a new month. We do see relatively dry conditions along the east and much, much colder than they were just today and the day before. So we're seeing likely a good 20-degree drop in a lot of these areas from what we saw today, which is going to bring us to closer to average probably. A lot of areas were, again, 15, 20 degrees above average. So seeing a 15 to 20 degree drop will bring you right around your climate average for this time of year. So a pretty decent day tomorrow. We do see that storminess continuing out for the northwest, including major snowfall, and even the upper Midwest here seeing some snowfall as well. Let's take this towards Sunday on February 2nd, and we continue to see that northwest storminess. Again, snowfall prevailing for the Cascades and Rockies. I can't even imagine the amount of snowfall that's going to be on the ground after all of this is said and done. Very zonal flow, which just means the jet stream is almost moving exactly and directly across the United States without any major ridges or dippage. So we see something like that, which is going to bring nearly average temperatures for most areas and storms that are moving almost horizontally through the nation here. As we take a look at Monday, on February 3rd, we start to see this warm pushing back in here from the south, especially in the east. For a lot of areas that saw 70s today, they'll likely see 70s on Monday as well. If you saw 60s, you'll likely see 60s again. Monday is going to be pretty similar temperature-wise, but we're not going to see the precipitation the same way. We do see snowfall stretching from the northwest all the way into the northern plains, upper Midwest, and perhaps the Great Lakes. So a pretty wide stretching area of snowfall there across the northern states. Very interesting. As we take a look at Tuesday on February 4th, we do see some isolated thunderstorm activity building here for Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama. Still quite warm, similar to Monday. Very, very warm in this area, humid as well. So those thunderstorms taking off shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. We do see this low sitting over the northern Rockies and continued snowfall and rainfall for the west. As we take a look at Wednesday on the 5th, we see a stronger low developing here over Colorado. Strong ridge out to the east of it where there's likely a warm front, at least for this area here. We'll have to see if this one develops a dragging cold front because we could be watching for severe weather and thunderstorms again in this area. For now, though, isolated showers and thunderstorms are popping up on Wednesday the 5th. We do see some snowfall continuing out west, so again, days and days of that is expected. For the day on Thursday, we do see this low that was in Colorado kind of moves up across the Great Lakes and into Canada very, very quickly as well. 984, very intense, and it's moving at a rapid rate. We do see this cold front dragging through areas of the Ohio Valley and Midwest here, and then a warm front way up in Canada. So we have the warm air rising up ahead of that cold front, humidity as well, and then we have this cold, dry air moving in. That is going to point towards potential thunderstorms and severe weather, especially in this area, areas like Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, the Gulf states in particular, but also Ohio, eastern Michigan, and areas of Canada and Pennsylvania. We can't really rule it out at this point because it will be so warm and humid, very unseasonably warm. So possible heavier showers or even thunderstorms in there. We do see snowfall, not quite as intense, but still around for the northwest. As we take a look at Friday, on the 7th, we see this cold front is now leading to some thunderstorms along the southeast, as well as the Gulf states here. And continued snowiness, kind of letting off for the Cascades a little bit, but the northern Rockies still seeing it, and also the Sierra Nevada. So very snowy still. We do see by Saturday on the 8th, a similar low is taking off Missouri. It's starting a little further eastward, but it does look like it's going to be moving northward in general. A cold front will likely develop, bringing thunderstorms and severe weather underneath it. And we do see snowfall to the west of it for areas of the northern plains and upper Midwest. Let's take a look at what happens overnight here. And we do see that low moving up into Pennsylvania and New York. Again, this is February 9th. We do see snowfall for areas of Canada and the Great Lakes. In a very intense dragging cold front once again, with warmth and humidity moving up these areas, warm front out to the east here. And this is going to cause this pocket to be thunderstorms and heavier showers once again. So another event very, very similar to that one before being pointed out by the models. For the daytime on Saturday, we do see these thunderstorms moving around the southeast and kind of mid-Atlantic here, so definitely something to watch for. Snowfall on the back end for areas of the mid-Atlantic and northeast as well, underneath this very strong low in eastern Canada. Speaking of Canada, very heavy snowfall up there as well. Things have really slowed down out in the northwest, but it's still very cold. But it is the coldest over the central states where we see things really pouring in for this region. Warming a little bit for the southwest. This could be the signs of a positive PNA that would move the cold air towards the east. And by the 10th, we actually do see that happening here. And if we were to try to draw a jet stream through this, you would see a slight ridging in the west and a slight troughing in the east. So some warmer temperatures here, allowing for the colder temperatures to slightly move into the east. It's not crazy. It's not the biggest cool down I've ever seen, but certainly much, much colder in the east here. Even seeing some lake effect snow bands going again from the Great Lakes. So certainly quite cold. Tuesday the 11th, we do see two pieces of energy trying to come together. The northern jet is pulling in some snowfall, as you can see here, for the plains and Rockies. And then this kind of Gulf Stream is bringing in a lot of humidity and moisture and building some energy here across the Gulf states. And this is all going to try to combine and create something here. So again, Rockies and plains snowfall, thunderstorms throughout the deep south, and all of that activity is going to kind of come together here for Wednesday, which is this is what we're left with on Wednesday. Some snowfall across the mid-Atlantic and northeast, upper Midwest and Great Lakes, even the northern Ohio Valley, and then areas across the plains as well, seeing some snowfall, even the Rockies and Cascades. So lots and lots of snowfall there popping up. And again, thunderstorms and heavier showers can't be ruled out for this underneath region as well. So that'd be like the fourth event like that. Thursday, we see a major western trough digging deep here, and this causes the warmth to really ricochet towards the north as a result of that in the east, and you end up with a jet stream that looks something like this. No clear low anywhere. We're seeing a lot of showery activity, thunderstorms underneath, snowfall to the north, and even ice as well for certain areas. No clearly defined low yet, but we do get one by about 1 a.m. on Friday morning Eastern time, and that'll be around for southern Indiana perhaps, if this is correct. Of course, we're seeing these, sometimes I'm guilty of kind of going through the long range here and treating it kind of like it's going to happen precisely the way, we're going in way too far into detail here, but the consensus here is that this is a fifth or sixth storm that looks very similar. This model is continuing to show it into the long range areas and time frames before the 10-day period. We're likely seeing a much more likelihood of it occurring. Once we're moving towards like hours 3:30 here, we're much more looking for patterns overall. And the pattern is these storms continuing with the warm front, cold front look. Again, severe weather and thunderstorms underneath would be likely. Snowfall and ice here to the north. This is, again, a carbon copy of 2 or 3 storms that we saw before this on this model. And it moves up, brings that cold front for the east. And sure enough, we see colder air moving in behind it. So it's a revolving door. It's totally a roller coaster. And we continue to see thunderstorms even after that low is left because of that humidity and warmth meeting up with the cold. We know when humidity and warmth meet with cold and dry, we see instability and things get going like this. When we look at the GFS model, we're going to see a lot of the same. We see this storm move through, again, northeast snowfall, a little cooler tomorrow, and then we get this kind of slow but sure warming trend. Here's Wednesday the 5th, where this model does indicate the mid-Atlantic could be looking at some snowfall for perhaps Pennsylvania, New Jersey area. That would be something to watch for. Again, that's already 5 days out, though. We do see the warmth moves back up the East Coast for a minute there, and then we see the cold come back, and then the warmth comes in right as this storm is moving through. This is our second cold front, by the way, so snowfall in the mid-Atlantic and Northeast has started out, even the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. Then we get this dragging cold front with potential thunderstorms and severe weather for the Ohio Valley. I'll point out where I'm talking about, but this whole corridor here, we see this cold front kind of move through. It's right here at this point, and then it moves southeastward almost. So watch this play out just like that. That's where thunderstorms and severe weather would perhaps set up. We see that move through the southeast, and then we get this activity kind of building in the south. We saw this on the European model as well around the 10th and 11th and 12th, where we get the southern and northern energy mixing, and we end up with snowfall in the plains and Rockies, thunderstorms perhaps underneath. Again, we're moving past the 240 hour mark, so we're talking much more in terms of overall pattern here. Just trying to get a glimpse of what might be happening as we move forward. So we see some deeper south snowfall than the European model. We do see some move through the Ohio Valley into the Mid-Atlantic very, very quickly there. And then we end up with another Mid-Atlantic / Northeast snowfall event. Colder air makes a return here around the 15th, 16th. So we're up and down on this model as well. Total precipitation, very, very healthy looking out west. Very healthy looking in the east. Really hard to find something not to like here, with everywhere needing a lot of it after the drier fall and winter that we've had so far. This is really good news. Here's the anomalies. And again, above average for a lot of these regions, also above average for a lot of these areas. And that's just going to be overall a really, really good thing. Your total snowfall in the European model is gargantuan out west. We're looking at feet and feet of snowfall for the Cascades, Sierra Nevada mountains, and the Rockies here. We're looking at 1 to 2 feet for a lot of the northern plains, upper Midwest, and Great Lakes. Also 1 to 2 feet for a lot of the Northeast. And then it's the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic where there's a question mark. It's, you know, a lot of the southern areas in here seeing nothing. A lot of the areas in the middle seeing 1 inch, 2 or 3. And a lot of those blues into purples is where we're talking more in terms of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches perhaps. So we do see a variety in here. But not snowless, to say the least. GFS model, a little bit tilted more directly horizontally, as you can see. The mountainous west does phenomenal on this model. A little bit less for the northern plains and upper Midwest and Great Lakes here. But we do see the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic get a lot more on this GFS model. And then also the Northeast looking at multiple feet of snowfall, so quite a bit more than the European model. This is a little bit more interesting looking than that previous European model. Let's take a look here at the overall temperature pattern. We're warmer right now, as we noted. Cooler temperatures move down the eastern seaboard here for the day tomorrow on Sunday the 1st, as we can see for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast and the blues and greens there. That sticks around through Sunday a little bit, and then by Monday we warm significantly in a lot of the eastern areas. Again, 60s and 70s returning for Monday. Even Tuesday, if you're further south, like the southeast, deep south, south central states, even the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic here, quite a bit above normal. Wednesday, warmer, unless you're in the Mid-Atlantic or Northeast, where we're seeing a little bit of colder conditions. We do see a big time warm up here around Thursday the 6th along this eastern corridor. We see this push of warmth up this eastern area. And even for Friday, a lot of that is still around for the earlier portion of the day. We do see it resurge up here for Sunday the 9th before a bigger cool down moves in. So an overall cool down, here's Tuesday the 11th, Wednesday the 12th, Thursday the 13th. We do see this cold kind of gets directed back at the west where we're far below normal. This is frigid out there in the west for after the 10th time frame, with the warm-ups kind of sticking around in the east. But you can't help but notice that this cold is trying to intrude on the east constantly, but we're left with a negative PNA out here, which typically what this negative PNA, which is really just colder conditions in the west, it typically leads to warmth in the east, and I think that's why we're struggling to cool down here on this model. GFS going to be actually a little bit cooler, I think, than the European model overall. Everything over the next, 5 days is relatively undisputed between the two. Then we start to get some cooler conditions for the 8th, 9th, 10th. We warm back up around that 10th time frame along the eastern seaboard there. A strong push of warm air. We cool back down for the 11th, 12th, 13th, and then we warm back up a little bit right here. It looks like we're warming by the 14th, but then the 15th, 16th is cold again. The biggest difference here, we're left with colder conditions in the east, but you don't have that extreme cold out west. We actually have a lot of warmth in these pockets, which is going to actually encourage cold conditions to move into the east. So a pretty big difference once we move past the 10th on this GFS model versus the European one. And that's where I think a lot of the differences are lying. And that's going to lead you to kind of feel like it's up in the air. And, it's hard to even say which of these two will be and end up being correct. And you would be correct. It is very hard. So with all that being said, that is it for this video, guys. Be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day, and we're going to be just working our way through the pattern every single day with you guys. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.